Hello everyone, welcome back to another 30 Minutes with podcast. This week I'm delighted to be joined by Antoni Sarcevic, just recently promoted with Plymouth Argyle, but now signed for Bolton Wanderers. Antoni, thank you very much for agreeing to join me today.
Yeah, no worries. Pleasure, mate. Thanks for having me.
Brilliant. From your accent, you're as Manchester as they come, but I have to be honest, until very recently I just assumed from your name, you must have some... it must be from the Balkans or somewhere, or from one of the old Yugoslavian states, and Manchester as you like. So tell me, what is your family heritage? Because Sarcevic is an unusual surname for someone. Well, I suppose it's not that unusual, but it's definitely got some foreign heritage there somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really proud of my name. It's basically it's on my dad's side. So my dad's as broad Manchester accent as I have, but it's my nana and granddad. So my nana was Italian and my granddad was Serbian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so they were full on, Italian, Serbian, nana and granddad, and so my dad's as broad Manchester accent as I have. So it's funny you say that, because obviously on my first day at Bolton yesterday, a couple of lads were like expecting me to have some accent on me, but when they just heard the actual broad Manc accent, it was a funny one, because they all were expecting me to start having some Serbian twang to my accent.
Have you ever put it on to try and fool anyone before?
You know what? No, honestly, James, I should start doing that, because it does pop up. Even when I first signed for Plymouth, it was the same, and I've never seemed to remember. But maybe as I get a bit older and wiser, I might try and I might fob a move somewhere to pretend I'm Serbian, and it might get me an extra year or two somewhere.
Just turn up in like a bearskin coat, like.
Just tattoos and stuff like that. Just look like a mean Serbian.
That's it. Yeah. Just put on the accent. Oh, that'd be good. But no, okay. So you, as Manchester they come. So you started your career. You started your career up with Manchester City, didn't you? Actually, in their youth setup. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. All the way from 7 to 16, I was. Yeah.
And obviously, what year would that have been? Because had they had their big takeover at that point?
It was before it was the first one. It was like when Sven-Göran Eriksson got the job. That was when I was 16. So it was when I think his name was like Taxing something. It was when they first went to the Etihad Stadium. It was that first owner. So that was sort of the time when, sort of European lads were coming in at a young age, and they were coming in training with us and stuff. And you sort of got an idea that we was sort of slowly, unless you was, setting the world alight at that age, you was going to probably get moved on.
Yeah, I remember, because they signed Bernardo Corradi, didn't they, from Italy? And he didn't actually do that well in terms of his goal return, but he was a player that I'd always admired in Serie A.
Exactly. It was them sort of names, that everyone sort of knew. But I think Bernardo at that time, I think he was getting on as well when he first come to City. So they were I think that was the start where they was trying to sign like names that, European names, and it stemmed down, to be honest, all the way down to our age group. We was getting European lads who were quite stacked as young lads, and I think it was basically slowly just pushing the lads who were local out the door, really.
Not something that I like to hear, though, to be honest, because you do like to see players get an opportunity, and it's I think happening a little bit more. I mean, what we're seeing actually now is a lot of our promising youngsters going out to play their football in Germany, where the likes of the chap from Birmingham's just gone. Is it Bellingham?
Yeah, Bellingham. Yeah,
Bellingham's just gone out there. Jadon Sancho, of course, out there playing and doing well. And there's been quite a few loan moves as well.
It's a bit frustrating, though, isn't it? Why should it take a German team to convince young English lads to go over to? Why? I know what you're saying. It's slowly. It's like you look at Foden and Greenwood and players like that. They are slowly, but it is players that probably one in however many that are getting the opportunities. So it is frustrating. It has to take a German club to take our talent over.
Well, it's a sign of the sort of, I think the bad. I don't know. It's misconception, isn't it, that foreign players are inherently better than our own? They're not, and it's the same with management as well. Because Chris Wilder.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. What's he? He's been Oxford manager, Northampton, Sheffield United. He's taken these teams Each time he's been at a club, he's been successful. And look at him now. I mean, he's absolutely one of the best managers in English football. And
unbelievable. Yeah, and basically he took his own players with him. He's trusted the players that have got him from League One to the Premiership. I remember when we played him in League One, you know, half of the squad they've got now were playing in that League One fixture. It's incredible. I just think his man management must be. Obviously, I'm not faulting the lads because they are very good players, but you know, if you're a League One player a couple of years ago, you're not really thinking you're going to be a Premiership player in 2-3 years' time. But he's done that, took them with him, and they've excelled in the Prem. I think it's unbelievable.
Yeah, and it just shows, doesn't it? And yeah, your sort of big clubs bringing in a lot of foreign talent. You know, fair enough. You might pick out one or two that end up being excellent, but you know, I don't believe that they're necessarily better than the lads that are coming through our academies or in our clubs in the EFL. It was pleasure to see Jared Branthwaite get a start for Everton yesterday after breaking into the EFL side with Carlisle this season. So
yeah, definitely, I agree, mate. I do.
Yeah, it's great to see. So you started out at Man City, but you were, like you say, you went out the door. You went to a local team in Stockport, didn't you? Who have actually ceased to exist, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, so they've changed now. I actually went doing a little bit on the AstroTurf where I used to play the other day with a coach on there, but it's called Stockport Town now. But at the time when I went, it was called Woodley Sports. So when I was 16, I was saying this in a previous podcast. I never really understood the rewards of, you know, if you did push on and make it. To me, I was just a 16-year-old lad playing for Manchester City on a Sunday against United and stuff. So I just used to think that. I never thought, if I in 2-3 years' time could be a Premiership footballer earning a mass amount of money. It was just sort of like a 16-year-old lad that played for City. So I sort of envied my friends who all played together. You know, they talk about it in school, and I just thought, I'm not enjoying my time at City. I said, I'm 16, so I want to go and play with my mates. So I just went and played with my mates, and we played in a cup final on Woodley Sports, and I think I scored two or three. And Woodley Sports said, you know, we want you to come. We want you to come and train with us and stuff like that. So I went down and I was training with the youth team, and then the first team manager said, no, I want him in our first team. So I did a couple of months with the youth team, and then was pushed straight up to the first team at like 17. So I was obviously playing with men and stuff, which was, for me, it was a big deal.
And then you obviously got spotted by Crewe, who are very good at bringing on young players. In fact, they are one of the best clubs at saying, we are going to give our young players a chance, and they're going to end up taking us to League One, which they have done this season. So, fair play, isn't it?
Before that, it was, funnily enough, the first game for Woodley's first team, I was never thinking of starting, and one of the lads, this is just typical non-league, this is why I love it so much, is one of the lads never turned up from his summer holidays. I think he ended up staying, so he never turned up for the game, so I had to play. And then from that game, I got scouted by Blackburn first. And I went on trial at Blackburn for like 3 to 4 weeks with their youth team. And they was impressed. They liked me. They said, but, you know, just go back to Woodley. We'll keep our tabs on you, and then we'll go from there. So I was like, yeah, great, that's fine. And then about a couple of months down the line, they invited me back to go to the 23s reserves to say, you know, we want to just see you at this level, see how you cope with that. And to be honest, it was a bit of an eye opener, because the week I went in, it was sort of the international break. So some of the first team lads were training too. So I just remember stepping out on the pitch and seeing these, because I'm a big football fan, so obviously I'm good with players and names. And I just remember seeing 4 or 5 first team lads. And I remember the training session now, and it was some pace, and it was frightening, the physicality and stuff. And I actually came away from it thinking, wow, like, you know, that is a major, you know, step up in everything, in physicality and talent and mental wise and stuff. And from that, you know, it never progressed. And I just went back to Woodley. And then at the end of the Woodleys, when, like you said, it was Crewe came in and said, you know, we want to take you. So I was brilliant. I was like, yeah, that's amazing, you know, professional footballer. And I went and signed.
That would have been under Dario Gradi at the time still, was it?
Dario, yeah. So Dario signed me, and his assistant, Neil Baker. I think Neil Baker was the one that spotted me. And then even at that time, like you said, though, at that time, I never knew the academy of Crewe. But once you get there, you do, because all the posters are up of the players that have progressed through the academy, and it's incredible.
Yeah, amazing. It's and it's a model, isn't it, that I think a lot of clubs should be looking at. Colchester do it, and they're finding a lot of success with it. Exeter have done it as well.
Yeah.
But a lot of other clubs don't tend to be so successful. I don't know why. Maybe it's the initial cost of setting something like that up, because Crewe have obviously had that embedded in the culture of the club for years. And
they've made a lot of money from it as well, which has always kept the academy a top draw. So obviously it does start with having to do it, and then obviously because they've stuck with it and used it a lot, they've got a lot of success from it, and it's been able to still carry it on to this day.
Well, indeed. And what's your thoughts on the fact that you get this hoarding of young talent by Premier League clubs, but they know full well that a lot of them aren't going to get anywhere near the first team?
Yeah, I know it is tough, but like you said earlier, James, I think it is refreshing to see that a lot of them are taking the plunge to go and play, and even if it is League Two, League One. I know a lot of them go to Championship because they have sort of made a name for themselves in the football with the Premier League club, but even some go to League One and Two, and I've played with many Premier League young lads that have come, and I do think it is an eye opener for them. I really do. I do think they realise, what it does take, and if they do ever get, released from that Premier League club, that it's not all glitz and glamour like it is where they're basically giving everything to them at the Premiership club. It's lower league, lower down the pyramid. It's an eye opener for them.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I mean, you have to work very, very hard to make it as a professional. I've talked to many young players who are like, the difference of actually playing for points and people's mortgages and livelihoods. It's serious business. But, your time at Crewe wasn't particularly long-lived. You went to Chester, and then you got the move where perhaps most people will be familiar with you, is where you went to Fleetwood and, were part of that team that made a pretty swift rise through the divisions.
I went to Chester. Basically, I went on loan sort of quite quick from Crewe to Chester, and basically Crewe called me back, was saying that they wanted to involve me, never did. So I sort of thought, well, I want to play football. I'm only a young lad still. That's how I seen it, James Burness. I just wanted to play football, and I loved my time at Chester. For me, that was a club as well. It's brilliant. It had 2,000-3,000 fans in Evo 6 Premier, which is unbelievable. So
yeah, brilliant.
I ended up going back to when they were in the Conference North fully, and we took that league by storm. We won it by we won it by over 20 points and stuff, and I ended up going away with England C for the week, and then when I came back, Fleetwood came in straight away, and I didn't even didn't take me quite long to even decide, because at that time I weren't really well equipped with the football. I didn't know whether to, now at my age, maybe you would prolong it a little to see what else is out there. But at the time I was only young, and the chance to go professional again, I loved it, and I went to sign for Fleetwood.
Was Jamie Vardy still there at the time?
No. So basically, Jamie Vardy went the year before.
Yeah.
Was it? Maybe it might have been 2 years before, because I think he left when they won the Conference Premier. So I don't think he ever played in League Two with them. I think he left that year. So then they had a full year in League Two, and then Alexander took over that year in December. And then when it became the second year, he basically brought a fresh bunch of lads in. It was basically his own team, and I was one of them.
What's your fondest memory from your time at Fleetwood? Because you were very successful there.
I think just everything, James. I think I look back now and I think I was 21, and it was my first proper chance in the league, in league football, and I just think I just carried on from what I was doing at Chester and just took it there, and confidence was a massive thing. It was one that I made sure that I took to Fleetwood with me, and it was one that paid off, because I was only 21. So, and that on this memory, mate, that the fact of that I'd had a bit of a knockback, but I had my chance at Crewe. Nothing really materialised. This was my first proper chance, and I took it with both hands.
Do you think it takes a certain amount of mental maturity as a footballer to realise that this is how you have to play and this is what you need to do to be successful?
Yeah, 100%. That's a massive thing, I think. I know like it's a massive topic in football at the minute, the mental side of things, and I do think that plays a massive part. And obviously for me, like at that time before Plymouth, I'd never had to move anywhere. I was just comfy at home, and I was just going from club to club in the Northwest, and that all played a part. And I just think mentally, like it was just like I was going playing and just enjoying it again. I didn't really see the serious side of it at that time, and I think that helped a bit. But then obviously as the years go on, which we'll probably get into, it did become a bit harder.
Yeah, because I mean, you went to Shrewsbury Town, didn't you? But it just, that move just didn't seem to work. What was it about Salop that didn't quite work out for you there?
It basically stemmed towards my last couple of months at Fleetwood. It was sort of going. So when we got promoted, the gaffer pulled me sort of right in the last week of pre-season in the next year. So obviously I was buzzing. We got promoted. We'd done all the pre-season. I was feeling ready for League One. Couldn't wait for it. And he basically just put a bit of a downer, like a dampener on my feelings, because he said he had to move position, move formation, blah, blah, blah. And I just thought, wow, like, you've not even given me a chance really, because you've got to bring a certain player in that the club want to sign as sort of like a bit of a marquee signing. So I just wasn't ready for it, James. I just thought it just hit me quite a bit. And like I said to you then about the mental side, I weren't ready for that sort of knockback, and I never recovered from it. So for the next 2 years at Fleetwood, it was quite tough. And then obviously Alexander got sacked, and then Stephen Presley come in. So for the next 2 years, it was a bit all over the place. And then when I finished at Fleetwood, which I wanted to, I just was like, I don't want to stay there. I wanted a bit of a refreshment from football. I didn't really want to concentrate. I wanted to enjoy my break. And then I sort of was just pushed into signing for Shrewsbury, which I never disrespect Shrewsbury. I never would. But it was just a move that should never have materialised, and it did. And then hence why nothing really came of it, because mentally I wasn't in the right place for that club.
Indeed. I mean, it just shows, doesn't it, how the mental side of the game is so important. And in fact, a lot of players, I think, learn the hard way. They perhaps make moves that they shouldn't. Sometimes they get their head turned. Sometimes they get bad advice. But I think happiness and playing regularly is something that shouldn't be looked on too badly. I think you look a gift horse in the mouth once too often, you learn to regret it. And I think just being happy in life, as in general, not just in football but in general, is something that when those moments occur when you are happy, you need to grasp them with both hands.
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, I can't echo that more. I think that's a massive part. And in that time of Shrewsbury, like, we was expecting our first baby, so obviously I was coming home really not happy. I was having a lot of down days, and I had a pregnant partner at the time who needed me, and I wasn't there. I was angry, I was sad, and it got to the point of when I did sort of put my foot down and was like, I can't do it anymore. When I left Shrewsbury, I sort of said to my wife at the time now, I said that's me. I said I've got my firstborn coming up, my first little son. I said I can't be the way I am around you the last couple of months when he's here. I said I want to make my son proud. I want him to be proud of me. I want him to see he's a happy dad, and I just wasn't that. So I literally made the decision. I said that's me. I said I can't do it. I can't do football anymore. And that was probably early December that I made that decision.
What changed your mind?
I think it was just reality. I think, and it's my wife. Like I owe Kate, my wife, a massive. Well, I wouldn't be sat here if it weren't for her just sitting me down and being brutally honest with me. She was. I think obviously as a footballer anyway, you don't get that sort of time off with your child when they're born, because if it's born in season, you literally get a couple of days and you're straight back in training. So I think I just had over Christmas, I had all the Christmas with my family, and I just sort of, it was like a refreshment. And then about, I think it was like mid-July, I think she was obviously getting sick of the sight of me. She just said, she was just
please, Anthony, go and find a club.
No, yeah, she was just brutally honest, James. She was just honestly, it just sort of hit something that what she's saying was spot on. It was just like, look, like you played football since the age of 7. It's your love. It's your only love, and you're a talented footballer. You look at what you've achieved, and you can't just have one setback and make that like define your career. One setback, said you need to overcome it, learn from it, and go from it, and that's what I did. And then it just sort of all stemmed out that a footballer that I still keep in touch with, a close friend, he basically put his agent onto me, a local agent, which I'd never had. So I went and met him, and he was just the same. He was like, look, do you understand? Like you need to understand you're a good footballer that can definitely still do a lot in your career. And obviously at the time when I'm that low, you just think it's gibberish what they're saying. You don't believe it. You don't want to believe it. You don't want to put yourself in that situation that you was in before, like the feelings that you was having. So I sort of knocked him back at first, and then he rung me back a couple of days later and he said, look, can I just prove to you that you are? And he listed off, I think about 4 or 5 clubs. He said, I have been in contact. I've just said of your availability, nothing that will get any of us in trouble. And I've got five clubs back that aren't interested. They want you. They want you to go down. And one of them 5 was Plymouth.
Yeah.
And obviously, the football lad and been to the ground previous times, and they were doing really well in League Two. I just turned around to my missus and said, look, it is a big move. It's going to obviously change our lifestyle and our livelihood. We just had a baby, but it's one that does attract me. What do you think? And Kate, as she is, always has stood by my side, and she was like, look, we're with you. So, all the other clubs, I just wanted to go to Plymouth, and I just thought maybe a change of scenery, a change of like lifestyle might do us good. And we
That's a nice part of the world.
Yeah, lovely, exactly. But obviously we didn't really know much of it. So once we got there, we knew how lovely it was, and yeah, so that's how it come about, mate.
Yeah, brilliant move. I mean, no disrespect to Man City, but Plymouth are a far bigger club as well. So
yeah,
exactly. So you've just got the biggest move of your career so far, essentially. Yeah. When you were thinking about packing it in, I mean, unbelievable stuff. And then you're playing with a group of players, and a supremely talented group that Ryan Lowe put together down at Home Park. I mean, you've got Danny Mayer playing in the midfield. You've got striker. I mean, strikers are homegrown talent as well, like Jeffcott coming through. Yeah. After playing at Truro, what a wonderful season it was. It did take a while, actually, didn't it, to sort of get going? But the promotion campaign you've just had, what was that? What's it been like?
It's like, being brutally honest, I think when we first got there, I think it was a bit of an eye opener. I think we were both like, wow, like, have we done the right thing? So we had our first 6 months, and obviously I joined that promotion team that got first promotion, and it was a brilliant team, brilliant set of lads. Then we went into the next year. Again, we started off quite bad, but then really excelled towards the end and just missed out on the playoffs. And then obviously the year after, I signed a 2-year deal then, a new 2-year deal in that year.
Oh, of course, because you would have been under Derek Adams and the likes of Graham Carey still playing there at the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so obviously I was with JJ, Graham Carey and Sonny Bradley and all them lads, and we had a great team in League One. We just missed out on the playoffs. And then obviously the next year, we lost a few lads, and the team weren't as strong and stuff. And I'm not like obviously not that, but and then it was a bit of a tough year because we got relegated, and then I was going into that final year, like you said, Ryan Lowe come in and he just lifted the place, and it was exciting to be a part of it. Got an excitement, and I think I just thrived off it, to be honest. I think he came in with his ideas, and it suited me really well playing in that position. And like you said, the players he brought a freshness to the group as well. That I think
he plays a lovely style, though, doesn't he, as well?
I love the style. It never changes. He that's how we play, and I think that's a massive thing. You're not always chopping, changing things, and we had a good, strong nucleus of the squad that played over 30 odd games of the year, so that was a very important. And then he added that with loans like Ryan Hardy, who come in and was a breath of fresh air. He scored a lot of goals for us. Then, like you said, Luke Jeffcott coming in January from Truro. So just little like additions, loans and stuff that just got us over the line. But I think obviously without the early stop to season, I still put my money on us definitely getting promoted, if not winning the league.
Well, you've done so well. You've earned the nickname the Manchester Messi, but I do have it on authority from contacts I have in Spain that actually Messi is now being called the Argentinian Sarcevic. So there you go. You're making a big impression.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, you know what? That was just a brilliant little time. Like, the nickname and stuff when everything's going well. That's the reasons why you love and stay in football, and them sort of moments, that'll probably stick with me now till I retire.
Before we get onto your move to Bolton, then, come on, dish the dirt on this Argyle squad, because you've had some great times there. But who, when you look at that squad, is the absolute worst dresser out of all of them?
Am I going off all my time there, or just off last year?
Well, you can do both. I mean, is there one that stands out as just being like?
Well, you know what? There was a few of us that used to be like, we were like the fashion police. We'd sort of go for a few if they came in a bit of rascal gear. But there was a lad, obviously you know him, Dom Telford. I think when he played for Stoke, he must have been sponsored by Adidas. No matter what he came in every day, it was Adidas. So even to the point of like boxers, ankle socks, he had a big, massive bubble coat that you thought it can't be Adidas, and so everything he wore, he just made sure that the lads knew that at a time in his career he was sponsored by Adidas.
Dear.
Yeah.
Well, Dom, if you're listening.
Yeah, Dom.
You've been had
I think
here.
he's still living off his Adidas contract, to be honest, James. So, if any of the lads,
he's probably got a garage just full of the stuff.
I reckon even like when you go, he pulls out some boots that you probably wouldn't, no one's ever seen, but he was like, sponsored by Adidas, this is what I got sent to me, and just loves it. So if any of the lads this year keep me in touch, if he goes to Nike or anything like that, it'd be a massive shock. Can't see it though.
Can't see it.
Yeah.
What about in terms of the one person that you know is just when it's his time to buy a round, he slips out into a taxi and just drifts off into the night.
See that? Who could I say with that? You know what, James? To be honest, like they were all good lads. I reckon. Do you know? I don't know. Maybe Ryan Taylor was. He's. I think he's got a lot of money stored away because he's very sensible with his money. And he was quite.
He does come across as the sensible player, doesn't he? Played for Oxford, of course.
I'm very close to Tails. We signed together, so we've stayed in good contact. But I know for a fact, I reckon he's done very well with his money over the years, and he's not been as like thingy with his money. I think he is tight as well when we go out. He is tight, but I do think he's one of them where he's tight, but he's clever with it, if you know what I mean.
One snake bite and off to bed. Is that his?
Yeah. But in like the sensible way, James, what we were saying, and I think he's sensible with it, and I think he'll be probably having a cigar now whilst we're doing this.
Excellent, excellent indeed. So obviously it must have been a difficult decision to leave Plymouth after having so many good memories there. But what was the thinking behind that at the end of this season?
Yeah, it was honestly, it was hard because I said it in a previous podcast. It's, times like that in your career, where you have had a successful season as this one, and you love the fans love you, and you built a very good relationship with the club and the fans. That you just suddenly stopping all that, but I just had to think. For my career and for my family, and it was just a decision we made. I think the pandemic, obviously, it did help because you had a lot of thinking time, but I think it was just even before that, because my little one now is obviously ready for school, and I just felt like I'd done my time, and I was leaving on a good eye, and the club's in a great position, and I just wanted something new as well. I just think, at this time of my career, I spent 3.5 years at Plymouth, and then an opportunity at Bolton Wanderers, which was obviously being a Northwest lad. It's one I would have found hard to turn down.
No, I mean Bolton. When I think of Bolton, of course I'm a bit older than you, but I mean the players that they've had at that club
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
if someone says that Ivan Camper wants to play for Bolton, when you look at them now, you'd be like, don't be dumb. I mean, honestly,
It's one of them, innit? Like you said, there's so many more you could list off.
I thought Djurkaev, did he play for them? I'm sure.
Anelka, Okocha.
Oh God, Anelka, of course. I completely forgot that Anelka played for Bolton. I mean, you know, crazy when you think of it.
Exactly, mate. Yeah. So, you know, and then even past that, obviously we're in a situation now with Bolton where, you know, they are, you know, a League Two club, but they're going to be back where they belong. And then if I look back in my career and say that I played a part in it, and being a North West lad, it's you know, it's something I couldn't turn down and something I'll be unbelievably proud of. And all my family and like my little boys growing up, you know, because Bolton will always be a massive club no matter what. And I just think I couldn't turn an opportunity down like this.
No, indeed. And Ian Evatt coming in after basically making Barrow. I mean, you'd never expected a decade ago Barrow to be called Barrow-Salona. I mean, what an achievement he's done there to get them associated with that kind of football. And obviously that's an exciting prospect for Bolton fans.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think that Barrow-Salona's up there in Manchester Messi, innit? I think it's as terrible as that, but no. No, like you said, I do. I think that league in itself is very hard to get out of. I think it is a demanding league that many established football league clubs that have dipped into the conference have found it hard to get out of.
Yeah, don't remind me. Yeah.
Sorry. And then, and obviously, like you said, the way he's done it is unheard of in that league. You know, they're not, no disrespect, it's not a league that's renowned for teams playing total football, and that's what he's done and been successful with it. And I think he's deserved his accolade and his opportunity to manage a club like Bolton.
Yeah, it's going to be a really exciting season. Obviously, yourself joining, Owen Doyle joining as well. Yeah. There's building an exciting looking squad. So really interesting to see how it goes. What are your feelings ahead of the new season? You've just come out of this division and been promoted. What do you think? A lot of pressure will be on Bolton, but saying that because they are a big club. How do you see you guys dealing with that?
I think, like, even when like you said, when I spoke to the manager and stuff, when I went and met him, and it's something, as a player as well, like it's pressure, but it's good pressure. Like, you're going into it as you are the big scapegoats, but you're also a part of that. So how can I word it? Like, people will be coming to Bolton thinking, wow, Bolton, and you're playing for Bolton, so it's a good pressure. And it's something that I think any of the signings that do come to Bolton will thrive off it. I think to have that sort of a name of like you're going to be a name that a lot of clubs want to beat. I think it's a pressure that we should all thrive off. And then obviously with promotion, obviously hopefully coming with it, we'll go into League One then again though, being another big club in League One with hopefully more signings and stuff. Obviously all this goes well, but that's what I'm saying as signing for Bolton. That's all that comes with it. And I think, especially with me, Owen Doyle, and whoever else comes in, we know what it does to get out of the league. And I think it's something we should all thrive off and help this club get back to where it belongs.
Let's hope so. I mean, you've got 3 teams that got promoted this season from League Two, all who played excellent football. So Ian Evatt, with the style that he's embedded in at Barrow, I mean, it does bode well. And I think people who used to say you can't get out of the 4th division by playing football, I mean, those times have changed. And,
definitely.
We'll see something special this year, hopefully, from the Trotters. Anthony, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Just before you go, though, you're from Manchester, so I've got to ask you, what music are you into? Because it's, Manchester's renowned for some famous bands over the years.
Yeah. I'm anything really, James. I'm into everything. Anything and everything, to be honest. There's nothing, there's no like set music on my phone. I'm a bit of everything. Depends what mood I'm in.
Is there any band in particular that you?
There's one that begins with O, isn't there?
Oasis, by any chance?
Oh, that's it. Yeah, is that what they're called? Yeah. I don't mind a bit of Oasis. Yeah.
Oasis. I'll look it up because I've never heard of them. I think it must be a band from up north somewhere.
Yeah. I think they've got a few good tracks that you might enjoy.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Well, nice one.
Well, did you, sorry, just touching, I don't want to prolong your podcast, but obviously being an Oxford fan, how did you find the playoffs?
Oh, excruciating. At least we beat Portsmouth because that's my sister and brother-in-law's team. But, right. The message I sent them was smartly sent back, I can tell you, when we lost to Wickham in the final. So
well, I did watch the final, and I think I don't think I personally think you didn't do yourselves any harm. I think like you just said, the football that Carl Robinson's got him playing and the football they played in that final, it was a shame that, they didn't win the game, because some could definitely say that they deserved to. Well, I definitely think you could say they deserved to win the game.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think one thing you say about Wickham as well, what an achievement that is. And one thing I like about Wickham is that they've kept with the manager for years and years, and he's taken them all the way to unprecedented new heights. So, for all these clubs that sack managers left, right, and centre after one bad run, I think there's lessons to be learnt there.
Definitely, because just that's coming out the last couple of days with the sackings at Huddersfield and Watford, I just think it's incredible that two managers there that have kept the club afloat after having, before they came in, they were really rock bottom, and they kept them afloat, and then to reward them with getting sacked.
Well, I messaged Danny Cowley when I heard the news, because obviously he's been on our pod and I know quite well, and I just get the sense that he didn't give me too much detail behind it, but I just get the sense he's disappointed after doing a wonderful job of keeping Huddersfield up when you consider how bad they were when he arrived, and he doesn't get the chance to build on it. So
exactly, that's the thing. Like, they're not even given a chance to make their own mark on what they want to do at the club.
No, crazy.
After everything they've obviously done for it, yeah, it is. It's crazy. It is.
It's like you say though, and you'll know it from being in the industry. Like football, it's a wonderful sport. We all love it, but the actual industry itself, I think, has a lot of. It needs a lot of change to make it a good industry, and I think that can only come from within the game, and it's not something that I can see happening anytime soon, unfortunately.
I agree, and I think that's a massive thing for like fans as well from afar, like stuff that goes on behind the scenes that everyone's not aware of is another thing. I think. Like obviously on match days, whatever, they just see the team playing, but throughout the week or behind the scenes, it's a cruel sport to be involved in.
Yeah, I've spoken to enough guys, and I talked to quite a lot of people who've suffered from various different things throughout their careers, and you realise that it's a tough sport, and it takes a lot to make it. Yeah. So for players like yourself who've been really low and then made it back, I think there's a lot to be learnt from that.
No, definitely.
It's great that you've come on here and talked about it as well. Actually, I think a lot of people will learn.
Really appreciate it, mate. Yeah, thanks for having me.
No, you're more than welcome. And everyone who's listened to this, I hope you've enjoyed the podcast. Real big thanks for Antoni for joining us, and looking forward to the new season. I hope everyone is safe. I hope we all can get back to some sort of normality, get into our routines again, get back to stadiums and watch football in a safe way. That would be absolutely brilliant. One other thing I'd ask, if you like what we do, if you like the content we create, then consider, for only, I think it's $1 a month, becoming a patron. That would really help us out to be able to continue doing what we're doing. But Antoni, thank you so much for joining me today. Real pleasure chatting to you.
Yeah, thanks, James. Thanks for having me, mate. Thank you.
All right, guys, take care, and see you next time.